The world is loud. It pulls at you, stealing your focus, draining your energy, and filling your mind with things that don't matter. And you've been fighting to keep up, working harder, running faster. But the harder you push, the more stuck you feel. Here's the truth. It's not about doing more. It's about clearing the noise. It's about protecting your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. The warriors of the past knew this. Leaders, philosophers, and survivors who could stand calm in the middle of chaos. They lived by a code we've almost forgotten, a code called Stoicism. In today's world of constant noise, emotional burnout, and social pressure, Stoicism teaches us to simplify, to focus only on what we can control, and to let go of the rest. And when we do, we unlock something remarkable: inner peace, resilience, and clarity. You see, we often spend so much time chasing success, validation, and happiness in the outside world. But the Stoics remind us that true strength begins within. As Epictetus once said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. These aren't just words, they're weapons, tools, shields, designed to protect your mind, elevate your decisions, and lead you to a deeper, more meaningful life. This video isn't just another self-help speech. It's a roadmap, a step-by-step guide to mastering your thoughts, emotions, habits, and actions. I'm going to walk you through 11 powerful Stoic strategies, each one a practical, real-world application of ancient wisdom, so you can level up in every area of your life. We're not here to recite quotes. We're here to live them. Whether you're struggling to manage stress, find focus, deal with toxic people, or simply want to become a better version of yourself, this journey will help you take back control. These aren't theories, they're daily practices that build mental toughness, emotional freedom, and self-respect. And here's the best part. Stoicism doesn't require perfection. It requires progress. It asks you to show up, take responsibility, and act in alignment with your values, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. So, if you've ever felt like your life is being pulled in too many directions, if you've ever felt anxious, overwhelmed, or stuck in a cycle of reaction instead of intention, now is the time to reset. To return to the core of who you are. To reclaim your power from the chaos of the world. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand Stoicism, you'll know how to live it. But before we begin, here's something important. These 11 strategies are designed to build on each other. Each one lays the foundation for the next. So don't skip around. Watch them in order. Take notes. Reflect. Apply. And if this message resonates with you, even just a little, consider subscribing to this channel. It's a small action, but it helps us reach more people who need this kind of calm, grounded, empowering wisdom. Hit the like button if you find this valuable, and feel free to share it with someone who's on their own journey of growth. Because the truth is this: you don't need to wait for life to break down before you build yourself up. You can start today, right now, with the simple decision to live more intentionally, more wisely, more powerfully. So, Are you ready to rise above the noise? To level up not just your mindset, but your entire life? Then let's begin, one Stoic strategy at a time. Strategy 1. Prioritize yourself. Put yourself first. Let's be honest. Life doesn't slow down for anyone. There are deadlines to meet, people to support, responsibilities that stack higher with every passing day. It's easy to feel like you're being pulled in a dozen directions. Constantly giving, constantly doing, until there's nothing left for yourself. But here's the Stoic truth. You can't pour from an empty cup. And if you're always putting yourself last, eventually you'll run dry, physically, mentally, emotionally. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. It's how you stay whole in a world that constantly demands pieces of you. The Stoics believed that self-governance, discipline, reflection, care, was the cornerstone of a meaningful life. That starts with knowing this. You are your first responsibility. Why putting yourself first isn't selfish. Many of us were raised to believe that prioritizing ourselves is a sign of arrogance or ego. That taking care of your own needs means you're neglecting others. But that belief is a trap, and it leads to burnout, resentment, and emotional fatigue. Here's a shift in perspective. Taking care of yourself allows you to show up better for everyone else. Whether you're a parent, partner, friend, leader, or colleague, when you're running on empty, what you give to others is a lesser version of your potential. Stoicism teaches us to guard our energy, sharpen our mind, and nourish our body, not as acts of indulgence, but of service. You become more useful to the world when you're grounded, healthy, and intentional. Start with small acts of self-respect. You don't need a complete life overhaul. Start small. Carve out time each morning that belongs to you. Even just 10 quiet minutes before the world wakes up. Use that time to breathe, stretch, meditate, journal, or simply sit with your thoughts. Set a daily intention. Remind yourself, I matter. I am worth this space. I lead my day, not the other way around. Self-affirmation might feel awkward at first, especially if you're not used to being your own supporter. But words shape belief. When you look in the mirror and say, I am capable, I handle challenges with grace, your subconscious begins to rewire. Stoicism teaches us that our thoughts are seeds. We become what we cultivate. Build boundaries like walls of peace. A crucial part of prioritizing yourself is learning to set boundaries. Think of them not as barriers to keep people out, but as guidelines that protect your peace. There will always be people or situations that drain you, relentless demands, toxic relationships, distractions that hijack your time and energy. If you don't define your limits, others will define them for you. The Stoics didn't shy away from difficult truths. And here's one of them. Not everyone deserves access to your time, energy, or emotions. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful tools of self-respect. You're not being rude, you're being wise. You're choosing what aligns with your purpose over what pulls you away from it. Boundaries are how you honor your commitments to yourself. Tend to your mind, body, and spirit. Stoicism isn't just about philosophical reflection, it's about daily action. You are a physical, emotional, and mental being. Each part of you needs care. Physically, prioritize sleep, movement, nutrition. You don't have to be perfect, but consistency is strength. Mentally, declutter your mind through journaling, deep thinking, or even silence. Give yourself moments of stillness. Emotionally, create space for healing. Let yourself feel, process, and release without judgment. Remember, the Stoics faced adversity, exile, even death, but they kept their composure because they trained their minds and prepared their spirits. That resilience starts with small acts of inner discipline. Reclaim control through intention. When you don't prioritize yourself, life begins to feel like it's happening to you, instead of through you. But the moment you start showing up for yourself intentionally, something shifts. You stop waiting for permission. You stop reacting. You begin leading, with clarity and calm. You begin asking, what do I need today to be strong? What must I protect to stay clear-headed? What small act can I take today to respect myself? These aren't selfish questions. These are survival questions for the soul. It's a daily commitment. Prioritizing yourself isn't a one-time event. It's a daily decision. There will be days you slip, days you overextend. That's okay. What matters is that you return to yourself. Stoicism teaches us not to chase perfection, but to focus on what's within our control and your effort. Your focus, your boundaries, those are always within reach. When you make yourself a priority, you respond, not react. You create, not just survive. You lead, not follow blindly. And the beauty is, the more you give yourself space to breathe, think, and recharge, the more present, kind, and resilient you become for others. You are not a side character in your own story. You are the main one. You are the foundation on which your life is built. When you prioritize yourself, you build strength from the inside out. You become less dependent on others for validation. You stop living reactively. You begin walking through life with quiet power. So today, ask yourself honestly, where have I been neglecting my needs? What would change if I made myself a priority? What boundary do I need to reinforce? And what small act of care can I start with today? Start there, and return to it every morning. Because the path to leveling up your life doesn't begin with changing the world. It begins with showing up fully for yourself. Strategy 2. Enhance your appearance. Show up with purpose. Let's get one thing straight. This is not about vanity. This isn't about chasing trends, fitting into someone else's ideal, or obsessing over your looks in the mirror. This is about something deeper. How you show up for yourself and what that appearance says about your self-respect, your mindset, and your personal power. You see, Stoicism teaches us that we must focus on what we can control. And one of the most immediate, tangible things within your control is how you present yourself to the world. Your appearance speaks before you do. Whether we like it or not, People form impressions quickly, and while their opinions don't define your worth, the way you carry yourself often influences your own sense of identity. Ask yourself, when you walk past a mirror, do you feel proud? Do you feel like the person looking back is aligned with who you truly are? When your appearance reflects intention, it affects everything: your posture, your confidence, your energy. And that confidence isn't artificial. It's a byproduct of knowing you're showing up deliberately, not just drifting through your day. This isn't about perfection, it's about authenticity. We've been conditioned by society to believe that appearance equals beauty. But this Stoic approach says something different. It's not about looking a certain way. It's about aligning the outside with your inside. That might mean dressing sharp and polished. Or it could mean a minimalist, no-fuss look that still feels clean, grounded, and intentional. What matters most is authenticity, wearing what empowers you, what gives you clarity, and what reminds you of who you are. You don't have to buy designer clothes or follow every fashion rule. But you do need to show up like someone who respects themselves. Because when you take time to put yourself together, even in the smallest ways, tidying your hair, wearing clean, fitting clothes, standing tall, you're sending a message to the world and, more importantly, to yourself. I matter. I'm prepared. I care. The Stoic connection to appearance. You might be wondering, what do ancient philosophers have to do with how I look? Well, everything. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That begins with how you carry yourself through the day. Stoics weren't obsessed with looks, but they understood the power of discipline, order, and presence. They believed your outer world should reflect your inner state, and vice versa. Think about a soldier putting on his armor, not to impress, but to enter the world with intention. Your appearance is your armor. It's how you mentally prepare yourself to engage with life. Respect over impressing others. Here's the crucial shift. You're not dressing up to impress others. You're showing up to respect yourself. When you make the effort to look put together, it's not about trying to prove anything. It's a gesture of integrity, a declaration that says, even if no one sees me today, I see myself, and I'm showing up with care, clarity, and pride. This mindset breaks the cycle of needing external validation. It brings the power back to you. You become the one who defines your value, not the compliments, not the likes, not the stares. Small adjustments, big energy. Improving your appearance doesn't require dramatic change. It's about small, sustainable upgrades. Wearing clothes that fit and feel right. Grooming regularly and neatly. Keeping your nails, shoes, and details clean. Maintaining good posture, standing tall, walking with intention. Keeping your space, your room, your car, your desk, organized. These aren't superficial habits. They're practices of mindfulness, of control. They train your brain to value order, discipline, and clarity, which are all central to Stoic living. Every time you take that extra 2 minutes to straighten your shirt or brush your hair, you're practicing presence. You're telling your future self, you're worth the effort. Your energy changes everything. Here's a little-known secret. When you look sharp, you sound sharper too. Your tone changes. Your words carry more weight. You're less hesitant, more confident, and people feel that. They respond to it, even if they don't consciously know why. It's not about the outfit. It's about the energy behind the outfit. That energy ripples out. It transforms how people engage with you. It changes how you walk into a room, how you lead a conversation, how you navigate challenges. And it all starts with how you show up when no one's watching. Questions to ask yourself. If you're ready to elevate this area of your life, here are 3 questions to start with. 1. What does the best version of me look like? 2. What small detail in my appearance can I improve starting today? 3. Does my outer self reflect my inner strength, clarity, and values? These aren't questions of ego. They're questions of alignment. Your appearance is not just clothing, grooming, or posture. It's a message. It's the first and most consistent statement you make about your mindset, your self-respect, and your presence. It's a visual echo of your inner philosophy. And when you show up with purpose, the world doesn't just see you differently. You see yourself differently. You become bolder, more focused, more alive. So next time you're getting dressed, brushing your hair, or preparing for your day, don't think of it as a chore. Think of it as an act of Stoic self-respect. An affirmation in motion, a commitment to live on purpose. Show up, stand tall, and wear your values proudly. Strategy 3. Smile with purpose, the inner power you overlook. It's one of the simplest things you can do. It costs nothing. Takes less than a second. And yet, it can shift your entire emotional state, change how others perceive you, and even rewire your brain. We're talking about something you do almost unconsciously, but rarely use intentionally: your smile. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is all fluff, stick with me. This isn't about faking happiness or pretending life is perfect. This is about learning how to use one of your most powerful Stoic tools, with purpose. A smile is not just a facial expression. From a Stoic perspective, smiling isn't about denial, it's about choice. It's the conscious decision to take control of your internal world, even when the external world is chaotic. You see, when you smile, even if it's forced at first, your brain receives a signal. It responds by releasing neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. These are the chemicals that elevate your mood, reduce stress, and help you feel more grounded and optimistic. That means even in moments of stress, frustration, or sadness, you can change your state with a simple smile. This isn't magic, it's neuroscience. And the ancient Stoics? They understood this long before the science caught up. Smiling trains your mind. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about that. Smiling doesn't mean you ignore pain or pretend problems don't exist. It means you choose your response. You claim your power. You say, "This situation doesn't get to own my emotional state." And that's what makes a purposeful smile so powerful. It becomes a tool of emotional mastery, an anchor in the storm. The Stoics trained themselves to stay calm under fire, to remain composed when others lost control. A subtle smile in the face of difficulty is the mark of someone who knows. I govern myself. Smiling shifts your energy. Let's talk about energy. You know those days when everything feels heavy? You drag yourself out of bed, walk around in a mental fog, and every little thing feels like too much? Try this. Before you even get out of bed, smile. Not because something amazing just happened, not because you feel great, but because you choose to start your day with intention. It feels small, but that little act sends a ripple. You walk differently. You breathe differently. Your thoughts shift ever so slightly toward clarity. Over time, that smile becomes a habit, a mental cue, a quiet reminder that no matter what's happening, you still have agency over your state of being. Smiling in tough times is not weakness. Let's be clear, life is hard. There are real struggles, grief, failure, injustice, loss. Stoicism doesn't ask us to ignore these things. It asks us to meet them with strength. And smiling through struggle is one of the boldest choices you can make. Not because you're hiding your pain, but because you're not letting it consume you. You're standing firm, grounded, and saying, "I will not collapse under this weight." That's not weakness. That's resilience. The ripple effect of your smile. Now here's where it gets even better. Your smile doesn't just change your mood, it changes the mood of everyone around you. Have you ever been in a bad mood, only to be lifted by a warm smile from a stranger? That moment of shared lightness, no words needed, can shift your entire day. You hold that same power. Whether it's with coworkers, family, friends, or complete strangers, your smile can ease tension, open doors, and build trust. It breaks walls, softens hard moments, bridges emotional gaps. People remember how you made them feel. And a genuine smile? That's unforgettable. A smile even changes how you sound. Here's a fun fact. People can hear when you're smiling. If you've ever answered a call with a smile on your face, you know the tone of your voice naturally becomes lighter, warmer, more confident. This is why many professionals, radio hosts, speakers, even customer service reps, train themselves to smile while speaking. Try it. Next time you're on the phone, smile. Notice the difference in your tone, pace, and confidence. That's the smile translating through sound, turning your voice into a tool of calm, clarity, and strength. How to make smiling a daily practice. Like any muscle, your ability to smile with intention strengthens with use. Here are a few ways to make it a part of your daily routine. Morning mirror smile. As you brush your teeth or get dressed, look yourself in the eye and smile. No judgment, just presence. Smile when you feel stress rising. Catch yourself in moments of frustration and consciously soften your face with a smile. Let it interrupt the tension. Use it as a reset between tasks. After a tough conversation, or when transitioning from work to rest, take a moment, breathe, and smile. Smile at others without expecting a return. This is powerful. Smile to give, not to receive. You're training generosity, not dependency. A Stoic smile is not fake, it's focused. Let's address one final point. A Stoic smile isn't about pretending. It's not about denying pain or masking your reality. It's about directing your focus. You're choosing to guide your thoughts toward calm, clarity, and strength. That's not inauthentic, it's intentional. Think of your smile like a flame in the dark. It may be small, but it's steady, and it reminds you that even in difficult moments, you can still generate your own light. In a world that often pulls us toward cynicism, anger, and overwhelm, your smile is a form of rebellion. It's your way of saying, I will not be crushed by this. I choose peace over panic. I own my energy. You don't need everything to be perfect to smile. You only need one thing: the willingness to lead yourself with grace. So smile, not because everything is fine, but because you're stronger than everything that's not. Strategy 4. Stay kind but set boundaries. Lead with compassion. Guard with strength. Let's clear something up. Kindness is not weakness. And setting boundaries doesn't make you cold. In fact, the two go hand in hand. You can be kind and gentle, full of patience and empathy, and still protect your time, your energy, your emotional well-being. In fact, true kindness begins with self-respect. Without it, compassion turns into self-sacrifice, and peace into exhaustion. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed in treating others with fairness and dignity, but they never advocated for being a doormat. Stoic kindness is strong, not soft. In the modern world, people often mistake kindness for passivity. They think being polite means always saying yes. That compassion means tolerating disrespect. That empathy requires emotional availability at all times. But here's the Stoic truth. You are responsible for your soul, not someone else's comfort. Kindness, when rooted in clarity and values, becomes strength. It's how you walk through the world with integrity, without letting the world walk over you. Boundaries are not barriers. Let's redefine boundaries. They're not walls to push people away. They're filters, protective systems that guard your inner peace. Imagine your energy like a bank account. Every interaction is a transaction. Some people deposit positivity. Others, they make constant withdrawals, complaining, manipulating, disrespecting, demanding. If you let everyone withdraw endlessly, you'll eventually run into emotional bankruptcy. Setting boundaries is how you say, I value you, but I also value myself. It's how you stay grounded, clear-headed, and emotionally available without being consumed. You can say no and still be kind. One of the greatest myths is that saying no is rude. But the truth is, a kind no is often more honest and respectful than a fake yes. When someone asks for more than you can give, when someone disrespects your time or energy, Or when a relationship turns toxic, it's okay to draw a line. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your mental space. Saying no doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care about the right things. Your well-being, your peace, your priorities. And most importantly, it means you care enough about others to show up for them without resentment. Know the difference between being nice and being real. Nice people avoid conflict at all costs. They smile while silently suffering. But real kindness isn't about pleasing, it's about honesty. Kindness says, I care about you, but I also care about myself. I can love you and still not tolerate being mistreated. I respect you, but I won't sacrifice my sanity for your approval. This clarity might surprise some people, especially those who benefited from your lack of boundaries. But in the long run, they will respect you more for standing your ground. And even if they don't, you'll respect yourself. Setting boundaries, the Stoic way. Here's how to practice boundary setting with Stoic intention. 1. Stay calm. Don't let emotions drive your decisions. Boundaries set in anger are harder to maintain. Set them from a place of clarity. 2. Be clear. Don't over-explain. A simple, "This doesn't work for me," is powerful and enough. 3. Be consistent. If you say no, stick to it. Wavering sends mixed signals and invites boundary pushers to test you again. 4. Don't apologize for protecting your peace. You're not being unkind. You're being clear. Own your space. Remember, you teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. The peace that comes after. The moment you start setting healthy boundaries, something changes inside you. You feel lighter, clearer, more in control. Suddenly, your yes carries more power because it's real. Your time becomes more valuable because it's protected. Your kindness becomes more impactful because it's no longer depleted. And here's what's even more beautiful. You start attracting people who match that energy. People who respect your space. Who honor your time. Who uplift, rather than drain. This is the law of alignment. When you begin honoring yourself, you give others permission to do the same. Kindness with boundaries prevents burnout. So many people burn out not from doing too much, but from doing too much for others without ever recharging themselves. They give and give, hoping to be seen, appreciated, or validated, but Stoicism teaches the opposite. Give without attachment, love without losing yourself, help others without harming your own spirit. Because if you are constantly depleted, you're not really giving, you're surviving. And no one thrives from a place of emotional survival. Respond without reacting. Another Stoic lesson here is to practice calm enforcement. When someone challenges your boundary, you don't need to argue or defend. Just stay firm, peaceful, grounded. I appreciate you asking, but I can't commit to that right now. I understand where you're coming from, but that's not something I'm available for. Thanks for reaching out. I need some space to focus on my well-being. You don't have to be defensive to be decisive. You don't need anger to set a line. You can lead with grace and protect with strength. That is the Stoic way. If you've been stretching yourself too thin, tolerating too much, saying yes when your soul screams no, it's time to come home to yourself. Because staying kind without setting boundaries is like giving away all your oxygen and expecting to breathe. Don't confuse being agreeable with being strong. Don't confuse keeping peace with keeping people. The Stoics remind us, true peace comes from within. And to protect that peace, you must sometimes disappoint others. That's not selfish, it's sacred. So today, ask yourself, where do I need to say no to protect my peace? Which boundaries have I been afraid to set? How can I be both kind and clear, loving, yet firm? Set the boundary. Keep your heart open, but never let anyone step past the line where kindness turns into self-sacrifice. Stay kind, stay strong, and guard your energy like it's the foundation of your soul, because it is. Strategy 5. Stay calm in chaos. Master your inner storm. Let's face it, chaos is part of life. Deadlines pile up, unexpected problems show up at your doorstep, people push your buttons, plans fall apart, and in the middle of it all, you feel your heart racing, your breath tightening, and your thoughts spiraling. But here's the truth that the Stoics knew long ago. You may not control the chaos outside of you, but you always control the calm within. That's not just a mindset, it's a skill. One that, with practice, can transform how you handle pressure, setbacks, and uncertainty. Chaos isn't the problem, your reaction is. Life will never be completely calm. There will always be something. A crisis at work. An argument at home. A decision you weren't ready to make. The world doesn't stop spinning just because you need a break. But here's the key. You don't have to spin with it. The Stoics taught that peace is found not in the absence of trouble, but in the ability to stand firm when it arrives. It's not about eliminating stress, it's about transforming your relationship with it. Epictetus said it best. It's not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. In other words, how you think about a situation is what gives it power. Step 1. Breathe before you break. Before you say something you'll regret. Before you let panic hijack your thoughts. Before you drown in overwhelm. Pause and breathe. Seriously, this isn't just feel-good advice. Your breath is a built-in reset button. When you're in chaos, your body goes into survival mode, heart racing, mind racing, stress flooding your system. But a deep breath? That's you taking back control. Try this. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4. Exhale slowly for 4. Repeat 3 times. This calms your nervous system, centers your thoughts, and gives your mind the clarity to ask the most important question a Stoic can ask in any crisis. Is this within my control? Because that's where your power lives, not in changing the storm. but in deciding how you stand within it. Focus on what you can control. In every chaotic moment, there are two categories. 1. Things you can't control, other people's actions, the economy, the weather, the past. 2. Things you can, your breath, your thoughts, your choices, your focus. The more energy you give to category 1, the more powerless you feel. But the moment you shift your attention to category 2, you reclaim your strength. This is what Stoicism is all about: radical focus on your sphere of control. You may not be able to fix the entire problem right now, but maybe you can take the next step, or change your attitude, or refuse to spiral. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Use the 5-year rule to regain perspective. Here's one of the simplest but most powerful tools in your emotional toolbox. Will this matter in 5 years? When you feel yourself spiraling, zoom out. Imagine yourself 5 years into the future. Looking back at this moment, will it still hold the same weight? Will it define you? Or will it be just another bump you barely remember? This question helps reframe your stress. It reduces the emotional intensity. It reminds you that most chaos is temporary, and that your reaction determines how deeply it cuts. Respond. Don't react. In chaos, our instincts scream at us to react, to yell, rush, escape, blame. But Stoicism teaches us to slow down and respond with reason. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Reacting is impulsive, responding is intentional. So next time you're overwhelmed, ask yourself, what story am I telling myself right now? Is it true? What's one calm, deliberate step I can take next? That moment of inquiry is what separates emotional chaos from personal clarity. Calm is contagious. Here's something you may not realize: when you stay calm, you influence everyone around you. In chaotic environments, people subconsciously look for stability. They mirror the most grounded energy in the room. When that person is you, you become the anchor, the calm in the storm, the leader others trust when things fall apart. And the best part? You train yourself to become stronger under pressure. You build emotional muscle. You become the person who can walk into chaos and not be shaken. That kind of presence? It's rare and powerful. Build calm into your daily practice. Calm isn't just a reaction, it's a discipline. Something you can cultivate before chaos ever strikes. Here are 3 ways to do that. 1. Morning stillness. Start your day in silence. Breathe, reflect, center yourself before the noise begins. 2. Daily journaling. Offload your thoughts onto paper. This clears emotional clutter and builds mental clarity. 3. Mental rehearsals. Visualize how you'll stay calm in future stress. Athletes do this before games. You can do it for life. Calm doesn't show up by accident. You have to train for it, the way Stoics trained their minds like warriors trained for battle. You can't always choose your circumstances. But you can choose your composure. You can choose stillness when everything around you shakes. When others panic, you breathe. When plans collapse, you pivot. When emotions surge, you steady yourself with presence. That's not passive, that's power. So today, think of the one area in your life that feels out of control right now. And ask yourself, what is mine to carry here? What can I release? What can I control? Then take a deep breath and begin there. Because calm isn't the reward at the end of the storm. Calm is how you make it through. Strategy 6. Set your course. Define your own path. Have you ever felt like you're just drifting? Following routines, meeting expectations, checking boxes, but deep down, there's a quiet question that never seems to go away. Is this really the life I want to live? If so, you're not alone. In today's world, it's easy to lose yourself in noise. Social pressure tells you who you should be. Culture tells you what success should look like. Family, friends, and even strangers try to map out your future for you. But here's the truth the Stoics understood long ago. No one else gets to steer your ship. You have the power and the responsibility to set your own course. Step 1. Know what you stand for. The first step to setting your course isn't setting goals. It's identifying your core values. Because if your goals don't reflect your values, they'll never fulfill you. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What are the principles I want to live by? What do I want my life to stand for? Maybe it's freedom, maybe it's growth, creativity, service, family, peace, or discipline. Whatever it is, write it down, reflect on it, because your values are the compass. They don't move, even when storms come. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That's value-driven living. When your decisions align with your inner code, you stop second-guessing. You start owning. Step 2. Set goals that actually belong to you. Once your values are clear, it's time to set direction. But here's the catch. Not all goals are created equal. We often chase goals that sound impressive but feel empty. Titles, money, appearances, all these can look good on paper, but leave you feeling lost when you reach them. So ask yourself, what goals light me up? What visions keep pulling at me even when I try to ignore them? What would success look like if no one was watching? Your goals should feel like home, not a performance. They should stretch you, challenge you, but also deeply reflect the person you want to become. That's what Stoicism demands. Not success by society's standards, but by your own soul's standards. Step 3. Leave the comfort zone. Here's where most people stop. Because as soon as you set your course, the fear creeps in. What if I fail? What if people don't support me? What if I don't know how to begin? But let me tell you this. Every new journey starts with discomfort. The Stoics didn't seek comfort, they sought growth. And growth only lives beyond the edge of what's familiar. Epictetus reminded his students, "You become what you give your attention to." If you always give your attention to ease, you stay small. But if you give it to purpose, to challenge, to vision, you expand. So yes, stepping forward will feel awkward. It will feel uncertain. And that's a sign you're doing something brave. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for confidence. Clarity comes through movement, not just thinking. Remember, this is a journey, not a race. When you begin to walk your own path, there's one temptation you must resist: comparison. You'll look around and see people moving faster, achieving more, doing things you haven't done yet. But here's the Stoic reminder: you are not behind, you are on your own timeline. Seneca said it beautifully. It does not matter how slowly you go, so long as you do not stop. This path is not a sprint. It's not linear, and it doesn't have to make sense to anyone but you. You will outgrow places. You will outgrow people. You will outgrow versions of yourself. Let it happen. Let the journey unfold. What matters is not speed, but alignment, that every step you take leads you closer to your truth. Keep adjusting the course. Just because you set your path doesn't mean you're locked into one direction forever. Life changes. You change. And with growth comes recalibration. That's not failure. That's evolution. Think of your life as a ship sailing across unknown waters. You don't always see the destination, but you can feel the pull. And if you drift, you don't sink. You adjust. Make reflection part of your journey. Every few months, ask, am I still aligned with my values? Is this path still bringing meaning? What needs to be released so I can move forward? Don't cling to goals that no longer serve you. You owe no one an explanation for changing direction except yourself. Trust yourself as the captain. This might be the hardest part, believing that you know what's best for you. The world will try to shake your confidence, to make you feel lost without its approval. But deep down, you already know what you want. You just need the courage to say yes to it. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Doubt, fear, obstacles, they are not the end. They are the tools. Use them. Learn from them. Let them sharpen you. Because no one else can walk your path. No one else can carry your mission. No one else can live your truth. At the end of the day, this life is yours. Not your parents', not your friends', not your bosses'. Yours. So stop drifting. Stop living on autopilot. Get intentional. Get specific. Get bold. Set your course, not based on fear, but on freedom. Not based on pressure, but on principle. Not for applause, but for purpose. This is your time. This is your path. And it starts with one courageous step. So ask yourself, what do I value? Where am I headed? And what small step can I take today to honor that direction? Because the most powerful journey you'll ever take is the one where you finally start walking your way. Strategy 7. Make your stand. Stand firm in a shifting world. There comes a point in every life when you have to decide. What do I stand for? Not what's popular. Not what's easy. Not what others expect. But what you believe in, deeply, fiercely, unapologetically. Because in a world full of noise, opinions, and shifting tides, the person who knows where they stand becomes unshakable. This is the essence of Stoic power, to live in alignment with your principles. Even when it costs you approval, even when it makes you feel alone. Strength begins with clarity. You can't stand firm if you don't know what you believe. So the first question is simple: what matters most to you? Is it integrity, honesty, loyalty, growth, justice, simplicity? Your values are your foundation. Without them, you'll bend and sway with every wind that blows through your life. But when you're clear on your core beliefs, your decisions become easier, your direction becomes focused, and your self-respect grows unshakable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. Not the outcome. Not the opinion of others. Not even whether you succeed or fail. Just the action, just the alignment, just the stand." Standing doesn't always mean speaking. Sometimes, we think that making a stand means getting loud, arguing, posting, proving. But Stoicism teaches a quieter kind of courage. It's not always about challenging others, it's about being unchanged by them. You don't have to shout your truth. You just have to live it. Every day, in your choices, in your habits, in the way you show up when no one's watching. Do you choose honesty when a lie would be easier? Do you show patience when anger rises? Do you honor your values even when others mock them? That's making your stand, and it often speaks louder than any words ever could. Be ready to stand alone. Here's what most people won't tell you. Living by your principles can be a lonely road. There will be moments when your stand costs you popularity, convenience, or comfort, when walking your path means walking alone. And that's okay. Seneca once wrote, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Let that sink in. The Stoics knew that to live with purpose, you must be willing to be misunderstood, because most people are reacting, following, drifting. But you've chosen to lead yourself, and that requires courage. It's better to walk alone in truth than to march with the crowd in compromise. Pick your battles wisely. Just because you have principles doesn't mean you fight every battle. Making your stand also means knowing when to act and when to conserve your energy. The Stoics were clear: not everything deserves your attention. Not every disagreement is worth your peace. So ask yourself, Does this issue violate my core values? Is this the right time and place to take a stand? Will action here bring about meaningful change? Discretion is a form of strength. Not every hill is worth dying on, but the ones that matter? Don't back down. Your stand inspires others. When you live according to your principles, quietly, consistently, without performance, you do more than just strengthen yourself. You become a light for others. In a world that often rewards compromise and surface-level living, your courage becomes contagious. People may not always agree with you, but they'll respect you. And more importantly, you'll respect yourself. Your actions remind others that there's another way to live. A life of clarity, of purpose, of inner alignment. And sometimes, just by holding your ground, you give someone else the strength to do the same. Your stand evolves, but your integrity doesn't. As you grow, your beliefs may shift. That's natural. Life will shape you. Experiences will challenge you. Wisdom will deepen your understanding. But your integrity, your commitment to living in alignment with your values, should remain constant. So remain open, but not unstable. Be humble enough to learn, but firm enough to protect what matters most. Let your stand evolve with you, but never betray the truth you know in your bones. Don't just say it, live it. Here's the Stoic challenge. Don't let your values live only in your head. Let them live in your actions. You believe in patience? Show it in traffic. You believe in honesty? Speak the truth even when it's inconvenient. You believe in compassion? Practice it when you feel most tempted to judge. Philosophy without action is just theory. Stoicism is action. So don't just say what you believe. Don't just write it in a journal. Walk it, every single day. The world doesn't need more people who blend in. It needs more people who stand up, and stand still when it matters most. It needs people who know what they believe, and aren't afraid to live it. Who would rather lose the crowd than lose themselves? Who understand that real strength isn't in control, it's in character. So take a moment and ask yourself, where in my life am I staying silent when I should stand firm? What value have I compromised for comfort or approval? What does my life say about what I truly believe? Then plant your feet. Lift your head. And make your stand. Because in a world that's always shifting, the most powerful thing you can do is to stand still in your truth. Strategy 8. Nurture your wit. Use humor as resilience. When life gets tough, and it will, you need more than strength. You need more than strategy, more than logic. You need something that most people underestimate: a sense of humor. In the Stoic tradition, wit wasn't just entertainment, it was armor. Not the kind that hides emotion, but the kind that deflects heaviness with lightness. The kind that allows you to navigate the worst of storms with a smile that says, "Yes, this is hard, but I'm still here. And I can still laugh." Because when you learn to laugh, especially at yourself, you unlock one of life's greatest tools for survival: emotional flexibility. The Stoics valued humor more than you think. We often imagine the Stoics as stern-faced philosophers, sitting in silence, unbothered by emotion. But they weren't humorless. In fact, Seneca, one of the greatest Stoics, famously wrote, "He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at." That wasn't a joke, that was philosophy. Because to laugh at yourself is to say, "I'm human. I make mistakes, and I'm not afraid to own that." It's disarming. It breaks the tension. And most importantly, it liberates you from the prison of taking everything so seriously. Self-awareness with a smile. Let's start with the first layer of humor: being able to laugh at yourself. Have you ever tripped in public and immediately looked around in embarrassment? Have you ever made a small mistake and then beat yourself up for hours or days? What if, instead of punishing yourself, you smiled and thought, "Well, that was ridiculous. Guess I needed a reminder not to take myself so seriously." Humor brings perspective. It pulls you out of the moment and lets you see the absurdity in the struggle. When you laugh at your own missteps, you strip them of their power. You become light, agile, free. That's not foolish. That's freedom. Humor helps you bend without breaking. Life is unpredictable. One moment, everything feels under control. The next, chaos crashes through the door. Without humor, those moments crush you. But with humor, they shape you. Because humor softens what's sharp. It turns tragedy into timing. It allows you to say, "This situation might be awful, but I can still find a flicker of absurdity here." And that flicker, that spark of light, it's often enough to pull you through. The Stoics believed in adapting. They believed that your power lies not in controlling the world, but in choosing your lens. And humor is a lens that makes everything more survivable. Humor builds stronger bonds. Want to connect with people faster? Want to diffuse conflict? Want to create ease in uncomfortable spaces? Use your wit. You don't have to be a comedian. You don't have to tell jokes. But when you show others that you don't take yourself too seriously, you make them feel safe. Humor is social glue. It disarms defensiveness. It signals warmth. And it brings people into the present moment, right where connection happens. In tough conversations, a well-timed smile or playful remark can change the whole energy of the room. And even when tension is high, that little spark of wit says, "I'm human, you're human, let's not forget that." Train yourself to see the irony. The world is full of small, ridiculous contradictions. You just have to start noticing them. You get stuck in traffic when you're already late. You spill coffee on your white shirt 30 seconds before a meeting. You lose your wallet after finally saving some money. These aren't tragedies. They're life's comic timing at work. When you train yourself to observe, not judge, just observe, you begin to see the irony in everything. And that awareness becomes your shield. Instead of snapping, you smirk. Instead of sulking, you shrug. Instead of spiraling, you smile. This is Stoic flexibility, not rigid resistance, but the ability to bend with life's punchlines. Humor and resilience go hand in hand. Resilience is not just about enduring pain. It's about transforming it, finding meaning, levity, or even laughter on the other side of it. When you laugh at life's chaos, you reclaim power. You say, "Yes, this is happening. No, it doesn't define me." You begin to understand that hardship is not a verdict. It's a setup for a better story. And sometimes, that story is funny. Wit, then, becomes more than entertainment. It becomes a mindset, a Stoic stance that says, "I can be serious about life without being serious about everything." How to nurture your wit daily. Humor isn't just a personality trait, it's a practice. And like any Stoic skill, it's one you can cultivate. Here's how. 1. Laugh at yourself first. Make it a habit to find something funny in your own habits, routines, or quirks. 2. Collect humorous moments. At the end of the day, ask, "What made me smile today?" Or, "What was unintentionally funny about this mess?" 3. Surround yourself with lightness. Read satire. Watch clever comedians. Observe people who bring humor into challenges with grace. 4. Use humor to disarm stress. Next time you're overwhelmed, imagine yourself as the main character in a scene that's slightly absurd. Smile at the ridiculousness of life. At its core, nurturing your wit is about choosing joy over rigidity. It's not about dismissing life's seriousness, but about not letting seriousness steal your spirit. The Stoics didn't want you to be robotic. They wanted you to be resilient. And what better way to stay resilient than to laugh, boldly, warmly, even in the face of difficulty? So when life throws its curveballs, and it always will, ask yourself, "What's funny about this? What can I smile at here? And how can I carry this with a little more lightness?" Because sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is laugh and keep going. Strategy 9. Practice respect. Elevate others without losing yourself. In a world that moves fast, speaks loud, and often rewards ego over empathy, one quiet virtue still holds immense power. Respect. Not just when it's convenient, not only when it's deserved, but as a consistent way of treating others, and yourself, with dignity, patience, and presence. The Stoics believed that how you treat others is a reflection of your own character, not theirs. And the way you listen, speak, and respond tells the world exactly what you value. So if you want to level up your life, not just externally, but internally, begin with respect. Because it's not only an act of kindness, it's a sign of wisdom. Respect is a Stoic superpower. The ancient Stoics didn't equate respect with weakness. They saw it as strength, an inner discipline that shapes how you move through the world. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, journaled regularly about showing kindness. humility, and fairness to everyone he met. He ruled one of the most powerful empires in history, but still reminded himself daily. Treat everyone with the same calm dignity, rich or poor, friend or critic. Why? Because he knew that respect was a form of self-mastery. You don't control others, but you do control how you treat them. Listen to understand, not to respond. One of the purest forms of respect is listening. And not the kind of listening where you're just waiting for your turn to speak. Real listening, focused, curious, open. When someone speaks, do you pause and actually absorb their words? Or are you already preparing your rebuttal? The Stoic approach is to observe first, respond second. Because when you truly listen to someone, not just their words, but their intention, you make them feel seen, heard, and valued. That's rare, that's powerful, that's respect in action. Disagree without disrespect. You won't agree with everyone, and you don't have to. But how you disagree says everything about your inner world. In today's culture, disagreements often turn into shouting matches. Online debates spiral into insults. Conversations become competitions. But the Stoic path is different. It's not about winning the argument. It's about preserving your integrity. You can say, "I see your point, but I have a different perspective. I respect your view, and here's how I see it. Let's agree to disagree and still move forward with kindness." Disagreement isn't a threat. When handled with respect, it's a chance to learn, connect, and sharpen your own beliefs. The little things matter most. Respect isn't only shown in grand gestures. It shows up in the small, consistent moments that most people overlook. Showing up on time. Saying, "Please," and "Thank you." Making eye contact. Acknowledging someone's effort. Not interrupting. Putting your phone down when someone's talking. These small actions send a big message. I see you. I value you. You matter. That kind of attention is rare in a distracted world. And when you offer it, people feel it immediately. More importantly, you start to carry yourself with quiet authority. Because when you respect others, you subconsciously elevate your own standards, too. Respect starts with the self. You can't offer others what you refuse to give yourself. If you constantly criticize yourself, ignore your needs, and tolerate disrespect in your own life, it will bleed into how you treat others, either with resentment or insecurity. Stoicism teaches that self-respect is the foundation of all other respect. So check in with yourself. Do I speak kindly to myself in my thoughts? Do I honor my boundaries and values? Do I carry myself in a way that reflects dignity? When you treat yourself with value, you naturally extend that same energy outward. Respect becomes your baseline. Respect creates safer spaces. There's something deeply calming about being around someone who respects others. They don't gossip. They don't shame. They don't dominate conversations or seek to impress. Instead, they make people feel safe to be human. And that safety, that trust, it's rare. It turns acquaintances into allies. It transforms workplaces. It makes strangers feel like friends. People may not remember your words, but they'll never forget how your presence made them feel. Respect is the bridge that makes all other virtues, kindness, compassion, leadership, possible. Balance respect with assertiveness. Now, let's be clear. Respect is not people-pleasing. It's not saying yes to everything. It's not tolerating mistreatment. You can respect someone and still say, "No, that doesn't work for me. I need space. I won't allow that behavior in my life." True respect has boundaries. It's firm, but not harsh, clear, but not cold. It doesn't shrink to keep peace, but it also doesn't inflate to overpower others. Respect is about equilibrium, holding others in esteem without losing your sense of self. Make it a daily practice. Respect isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. Every time you speak, every time you listen, every time you pause instead of react. Ask yourself, am I being present? Am I honoring both myself and this person? Am I choosing ego, or am I choosing integrity? These small moments shape not just your relationships, but your character. At the heart of Stoicism is the belief that we are part of something greater. A larger community, a shared humanity. And the way we treat others reflects how deeply we understand that. So if you want to level up your life, don't just focus on goals, achievements, or appearance. Focus on how you treat people. Not for applause, not for approval, but because it defines who you are when no one's watching. Respect is not just what you give. It's what you become in the process. So today, speak slower, listen deeper, judge less, honor more. Because the most powerful version of you treats everyone with dignity. Strategy 10. Set clear parameters, define and defend your boundaries. You can't control everything in life. But you can control what you allow. Who gets your time? Where your energy goes. What you say yes to, and what you say no to. That's the power of boundaries. Or, as we'll call them here, clear parameters. Not walls that shut people out, but lines that keep your life from falling apart. Lines that protect your energy, identity, peace, and purpose. The Stoics weren't just about calm thoughts and lofty ideas. They were about practical self-mastery. And one of the most practical skills you can develop is this: knowing your limits and respecting them. Why parameters matter more than ever. Let's be honest. Most people don't set parameters until they hit a wall. You burn out. You say yes too often. You let people overstep, overreach, and overwhelm you. Why? Because you want to help. You don't want to seem rude. You think, maybe I can handle it just this once. But without clear limits, kindness turns into resentment. Support becomes self-neglect. And your focus dissolves into exhaustion. Setting parameters isn't a rejection of others, it's a protection of yourself. Know your limits before you defend them. The first step to setting boundaries is clarity. You can't communicate your parameters if you don't even know what they are. So ask yourself, what drains me the most right now? What makes me feel resentful after I say yes? What areas of my life feel overextended, overcrowded, or out of control? Maybe it's how late you're working. Maybe it's how much you're giving emotionally in your relationships. Maybe it's the pressure to always be available. Your limits are signals. They're not weaknesses. They're guidelines that help you live in alignment with your values. Learn to say no without guilt. This might be one of the hardest things you'll ever learn. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, no can be the most respectful thing you say, to yourself and to others. It says, I care about you, but I care about my well-being too. I'm showing up with honesty, not fake agreement. I value my time, my goals, and my inner peace. You don't need a 5-paragraph explanation. You don't need to defend your boundaries with a courtroom argument. Sometimes, a simple, that doesn't work for me, or I'm not available for that right now, is enough. And the more you practice it, the stronger you become. Consistency creates respect. Boundaries mean nothing if you don't uphold them. Think of it like this. Every time you break your own parameters, you send a message, to yourself and others, that your limits are negotiable. You say, no, then cave in. You block out time, but let someone steal it. You say you're unavailable, but still reply out of guilt. That's how boundaries dissolve. But when you stay consistent, even when it's uncomfortable, people begin to respect your space. More importantly, you begin to respect yourself. Because boundaries aren't just about protecting time, they're about protecting trust. Boundaries create peace, not distance. One of the biggest misconceptions about parameters is that they push people away. But in reality, they do the opposite. Clear boundaries create safer, stronger relationships. They remove hidden resentment. They prevent burnout. They allow people to know where you stand and how to support you better. When you communicate your limits calmly and kindly, you're not creating conflict. You're creating clarity. And clarity, in relationships, is gold. Communication is key. Setting parameters doesn't have to be dramatic or confrontational. In fact, the most powerful boundaries are quiet and firm. You can say, I'd love to help, but I don't have the capacity right now. I need this weekend to recharge. Can we touch base next week? I'm not comfortable with that, but here's what I can offer. When you communicate from a place of calm conviction, people will often adjust. And if they don't, that's also information. It tells you who honors your values, and who only honors your availability. Boundaries go both ways. Respecting your own limits also means respecting the limits of others. Don't take it personally when someone else says no. Don't assume rejection when someone sets a line. Just as you need space to breathe, so do they. Mutual boundaries create mutual respect. And mutual respect is what builds deep, lasting connection. Build a life that protects what matters. Your time is finite. Your energy is sacred. Your focus is fragile. If you don't guard those things, the world will consume them, without apology. Setting clear parameters allows you to build a life where your priorities have room to grow. Where your goals can breathe. Where your well-being isn't sacrificed for every request or demand. You get to decide how many hours you work. How often you engage with drama. How available you are at any given moment. That's not selfish. That's Stoic self-leadership. At its core, setting parameters isn't about shutting the world out. It's about creating space for what truly matters. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to something that fuels you. To rest. To purpose. To alignment. To you. So today, ask yourself, where am I giving away too much of myself? What boundary have I been avoiding? How can I begin reclaiming control, one clear no at a time? Then take the first step. Draw the line. Hold the space. Because a life without parameters is a life without peace. And the person who guards their energy guards their future. Strategy 11. Cut out negative energy. Clear space for growth. You can't grow in soil that's poisoned. You can't thrive in a space filled with chaos. And you can't become your strongest self if your energy is constantly under attack. This is why one of the most powerful things you can ever do for your life is this. Cut out negative energy. Not just the obvious kind. Not just toxic people or loud drama. But the quiet negativity, the draining habits, the cluttered environments, and even the toxic thoughts you whisper to yourself. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and one thing you can always control is what you allow to take up space in your life. Energy is everything. Your energy is your foundation. It fuels your focus. It sharpens your presence. It sustains your goals. But here's the thing. Energy isn't infinite. It's limited, and every day, you spend it on people, conversations, thoughts, habits, spaces. So ask yourself, where is my energy leaking? Because no matter how strong your goals are, if your energy is being drained by negativity, you won't get far. Cutting negative energy isn't harsh, it's necessary for your survival. Toxic people aren't always loud. Some people drain you without saying a word. Maybe they constantly complain. Maybe they play the victim. Maybe they disguise manipulation as advice. or they simply bring chaos wherever they go. You don't owe unlimited access to anyone, especially those who make you question your worth, your dreams, or your peace. Setting boundaries with these people, or walking away entirely, isn't cruelty. It's clarity. You're allowed to choose your company with intention. You're allowed to protect your mental space. And remember this: peace is more valuable than proximity. Watch the voices inside, too. But negativity isn't just external. Sometimes, the loudest critic lives inside your own head. That voice that says, "You're not good enough. You'll never make it. Why even try?" These are not truths. These are old echoes. Echoes from fear, from past failures, from conditioning. The Stoics believed in mastering your mind, in observing thoughts, but not obeying all of them. You can question the voice. You can challenge it. You can replace it. Try this. When a negative thought arises, pause. Ask, "Is this helping me grow or keeping me small?" If it's the latter, let it go. Every time you correct your inner dialogue, you cut out invisible negativity and create space for inner power. Your environment shapes your energy. Look around you. Does your space feel clear, calm, inspiring? Or cluttered, chaotic, stale? You don't need a perfect home, but you do need an intentional one. Clean your room, organize your workspace, create corners of calm. Because your environment is a mirror of your mindset. When your space is peaceful, your mind follows. Even small changes, a clean desk, fresh air, sunlight, silence, can shift your energy. And when your outer world supports your inner clarity, you think better, you feel lighter, you act stronger. Audit your habits. Where's the drain? Negative energy often hides in habits that feel harmless, but over time, they erode your strength. Endless scrolling, late-night junk food, gossip sessions, neglecting sleep, saying yes when you mean no. These habits may not destroy you instantly, but they chip away at your potential. One decision at a time. Stoicism calls us to examine our lives, not to judge, but to course correct. So ask yourself, what habits leave me feeling empty or anxious? What patterns am I repeating that no longer serve me? What can I replace them with today? Sometimes, the smallest subtraction makes room for the biggest growth. Clear space. Invite peace. When you cut out what doesn't serve you, you create room for what does. Peace. Presence. Focus. Creativity. Healing. But these things can't thrive in a space filled with noise, mental or physical. Think of your mind like a garden. If you don't pull the weeds, the flowers won't grow. If you don't remove the clutter, the light won't reach the roots. Every act of release, whether it's a person, a habit, or a thought, is an act of honoring your future self. How to begin the cleansing process. Ready to start cutting out the negativity? Here's a practical roadmap. 1. Identify the drain. What's exhausting you the most right now? A person? A thought? A behavior? 2. Limit the exposure. You don't always need a dramatic exit. Start with distance, detachment, silence. 3. Replace. Don't just remove. Replace negative patterns with positive ones. Don't just cut, cultivate. 4. Protect the space you've cleared. Once you've made room for peace, defend it. Don't let old patterns sneak back in. 5. Check in regularly. Make it a habit to ask, is this serving me, or slowly stealing from me? This process isn't a one-time purge. It's a lifestyle of mindful energy management. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Negative energy is subtle, persistent, and contagious. But so is clarity. So is peace. So is growth. The life you want requires energy. And to protect that energy, you must be willing to let go of what weighs you down. So ask yourself today, what am I tolerating that I should be releasing? What needs to leave my space, my thoughts, my circle? What would I become if I cleared the noise? Because once you cut out what doesn't serve you, you create the space to become who you're meant to be. Clear it out. Clean it up. Let it go. And watch yourself grow. You've just held 11 weapons in your hands, tools forged in fire, tested by time, and carried by those who refused to break. Now the question is, will you carry them forward? Or will you put them down and walk back into the noise? Because nothing changes if you only listen. The world will still be loud. Distractions will still come for you. But you will be ready, if you choose to act. Every no you give to the wrong things. Every moment you choose clarity over chaos. Every boundary you defend. That's you becoming unshakable. And this journey doesn't end here. If you want to keep sharpening your mind, guarding your energy, and living with quiet power, subscribe right now. Next week, I'll hand you another weapon, one most people never even know exists. Miss it, and you'll stay where you are. Take it, and you'll never see the world the same way again. So choose. Step forward. And I'll see you on the other side.